Hello everybody, thank you guys all for coming. My name is Gryphon Magnus, and today we are celebrating some very hardworking Titans. They have all received the Honorable Mention Award from the StudentCam documentary competition, organized by C-SPAN and sponsored by Comcast. This year, they asked students the question, how does the federal government impact your life? And they had to answer it via an in-depth documentary. This competition not only gave the class some hands-on experience on producing nonfiction and researchable videos, but also brought attention to issues and ideas that might otherwise be overlooked. This year's honorable mention at our school were Mia Mervis and Lucy Saveri, who made their project on the subject of food stamps. While it may not be the most immediately invigorating topic, they managed to produce their film in such an exhilarating and educational way. Thank you for making us proud. We also celebrate last year's AC awardees, Allison Avalar, Elena Gutierrez, and Helen Russell, for the documentary addressing the President and Congress head-on. It's great to see our own AC students using their voice through film. Now, we'll take a look at these inspiring films.
Dear Mr. President.
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 History or progress? May 25th, 2020. George Floyd was killed in the streets of Minneapolis by a white police officer. The footage shown here spread like wildfire.
The Black Lives Matter movement was suddenly trending all over the world. Literally.
First of all, let me give a shout out to Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
I happen to think that those young people have essentially
Black Lives Matter, we matter. First act like I matter. I'm not some object to be analyzed.
It's actually a function of systems that are designed intentionally to criminalize and punish Black people and people of color.
I can't tell you the kind of pain you feel when you watch something like that. When you watch your big brother, who you looked up to your whole entire life, die begging for his mom, I'm tired.
Peaceful protests broke out in support of BLM. Protests soon turned into riots.
The awareness of the systematic racism in America gave way to change. Monuments glorifying racist figures were taken down, and students became aware of how these same bigoted historic individuals were imprinted on their schools.
One of these schools was ours, T.C. Williams High School.
When I first heard about the Rename TC movement, I heard about a group of students who were wanting to cover up the sign, and that's why I felt like I needed to step forward and take action rather than staying a bystander. I think it's really important not to celebrate somebody who had such a negative impact on so many students' lives.
TC was named after Thomas Chambliss Williams.
T.C. Williams was a leader in the school system who actively fought integration of the schools.
The renaming of TC began with a petition that came shortly after George Floyd's death.
In fact, there were two petitions. As it turns out, TC wasn't the only school in Alexandria on track to be renamed.
The school in question, Matthew Murray Elementary School.
Matthew Fontaine Maury, known as the father of modern oceanography, joined the Confederacy shortly after the outbreak of the Civil War.
Our high school has worn TC's name since the 1960s, and Matthew Murray, it's been called that since the 1920s.
The students, teachers, and community members of Alexandria decided it was time for a change, and this time, we would be involved.
Community involvement was key for the renaming of TC project.
In November of 2020, the Alexandria City School Board voted unanimously to rename T.C. Williams High School, as well as Matthew Maury Elementary School.
But not everyone was happy with this decision. One argument frequently used to defend the name of TC is that there's history behind it, namely the movie made about our school.
Some argue that by changing the name, we would be erasing the rich history behind TC, in this movie in particular.
Another argument used against the renaming of TC is cost.
And they wouldn't be wrong.
3 public schools in Portsmouth will have new names next year.
The 3 schools combined could tally up around $440,000.
But for 423 and change, what else are we going to have to cut in order to get that done?
Regardless of any reason why T.C. Williams or Matthew Maury shouldn't be renamed, it's happening.
However, the renaming of schools wasn't the only thing that came after George Floyd's murder.
On the intersection of Prince and Washington Street in Old Town, Alexandria, stood a 131-year-old Confederate statue. The statue, titled Appomattox, depicts a southern-facing Civil War soldier.
Council had actually voted several years ago to pursue movement of the statue. We were expecting them to move it shortly after July 1. They asked for permission to take it down early, and we said, fine, take it down.
The United Daughters of the Confederacy, who own the statue, opted to remove the memorial early because of demonstrations nationwide in which statues, just like this one, have been vandalized or forcefully removed.
Our city isn't the only one that still has monuments memorializing Confederate symbols, but not everyone takes them down for a number of reasons.
What the travesty is that this is a part of our nation's overall history.
Black men identifying as either conservative, black conservative, or simply Republican say the monument should stay with added footnotes to history.
We personally believe the statues, just like the Appomattox, should be taken down. As history changes and progresses, so should we. We shouldn't memorialize figures that stood for things that we no longer believe in.
And this is why we think it's incredibly important for the new presidential administration to address topics like this. We still see racist symbolism in our streets, schools, and even monuments. Youth voices should be heard on issues like this. It's important now more than ever.
Fostering leadership and empowering youth voices is the way we promote, good citizenship and combat cynicism.
I think we should choose a better person or name to reflect who our school really is. I live about a block from that statue. It was mourning the losses of Confederate soldiers. We should have kept the statue. It was respectful.
We should be teaching students how to speak up for themselves, how to have an independent voice, and how to fight things that they believe are wrong.
So, we'll leave you with this question. When it comes to outdated beliefs promoted by racist representation through our monuments, schools, and statues, which will you choose? History or progress?
stamps have become a very controversial topic for most Americans as it affects a major part of the population. Even though some don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, there are people who go hungry every day, and without food stamps, they would starve.
There is a lot of history behind these small but impactful stamps. It all started on January 31st, 1964, when the Food Stamp Act and program was enacted. President Johnson saw how big of a problem hunger was, so he passed legislation through Congress to make the food stamp program permanent on August 31st, 1964.
As you may think, why was the first food stamp made before the 1964 program? Well, it was because the program allowed for there to be balance for the increasing food surpluses.
This allowed for more people to be able to receive food stamps and get proper nutrition.
In 2020, 38 million people requested for food stamps, and 12 million of those were children. COVID-19 took a toll on the amount of jobs available for people. This virus also caused many restaurants and stores to close since they were not getting enough customers to pay rent fees. Unfortunately, this resulted in people not able to afford food for their families.
American families are going hungry. We've all seen the long lines on news showing the number of people waiting to get food from food banks.
In 1993, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program was established, commonly known as the SNAP Foundation.
Work requirements for those under SNAP. They write this: the Farm Bill will reauthorize the nation's nearly $900 billion in food and agriculture programs for another 5 years. That includes the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, which helps low-income families pay for food.
Food stamps have come a long way since they first started. It started out as a program, then an act, and now SNAP has become the major food stamp program helping families all over the country. The SNAP program has been very beneficial for our nation because of its positive impact on world hunger. It allows people to buy nutritious food while helping them pay for it.
Feeding America is also an impactful organization to alleviate hunger. This organization is the largest domestic hunger relief program in the United States. Their commitment is to provide food, cash, and advocacy to food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. Every year, they help 40 million people who are hungry.
Although SNAP and other organizations have continued to help alleviate hunger, the number of people still needing food is rapidly growing.
Calamities like the pandemic and natural disasters will always be part of our daily lives. And because of this, there will always be people who will need help. By our own experiences, we have seen people buying food for others who cannot afford it. And starting in 2021, our school, Alexandria City High School, has now started free breakfasts and lunches for everyone.
In order for a well-rounded community, people should agree that food stamps are beneficial for our community. Those who disagree believe that some people take advantage of this benefit.
Everyone needs access to food. It's a given right, and so it's one way to help people who need that assistance.
There are families that no matter what they do or what they try to do, they can never really quite get enough to handle all the needs of the family.
I've lived off of them, so it's good. It helped me a lot. I wouldn't say it saved my life, but it definitely fed me, and I was very pleased.
We talked with Dr. Gunderson, a professor at Baylor University who's been studying these impactful stamps for over 20 years.
To get SNAP, you need to meet criteria. The first is what's called the gross income test. The second is the net income test. Your net income has to be below the poverty line, and then you apply for SNAP benefits, and then depending upon your net income, that's the amount of benefits you get. And you get an electronic benefit transfer card, EBT card, and you can use that at grocery stores.
We also had the opportunity to talk with Elizabeth Bors, who is running an innovative project trying to help ensure that farmers markets take food stamps to improve low-income access to fresh produce.
Farmers markets have traditionally been a place where people did access healthy fruits and vegetables. But when the food stamp program moved from literally paper stamps over to the EBT card, that made it more challenging. So farmers markets had to kind of become places again where people could utilize their benefit.
People believe food stamps also are essential for low-income families to get the sustainable nutrition that is needed. Sustainable nutrition allows for people to avoid later healthcare problems and benefits overall physical and mental health.
Additionally, food stamps can be used to help people in need so they can buy groceries without having to wait for their next paycheck to come in. Food stamp spending is opposed by 37% of Americans, while 22% want it to stay the same. 30% want the budget to be raised. Those in favor of removing food stamps claim that people use food stamps incorrectly. For example, some argue that some recipients may have a large income that allows them to afford groceries, yet still use food stamps.
We've made a lot of progress by helping people get into work and then combining that work or the earnings from that work with other forms of assistance that make those wages go farther.
Senator Charles Schumer discusses the Trump administration's movement.
Today, the Trump administration announced it had completed a new rule that would potentially throw hundreds of thousands of needy Americans off food assistance. The Trump administration justifications for these cuts is that they will save the government money.
Tell me, how many times do you buy lunch a week? On average, it is about $12 a day, which is in between the usual fast food and casual restaurant prices. $60 a week. This is more than enough to feed a family of 4 with the help of food stamps.
Learning more about food stamps can change your perspective on what's important. In order for our community to live free of hunger, food stamps should stay. Let's make feeding the hungry a priority.
Let's give our documentarians a round of applause. Again, thank you guys for producing this such educational and inspiring documentaries. It's great. And now we would like to invite Craig McAndrew up here to present our Titans of Certificate to commemorate their achievement, and Mia Mervis, Lucy Severi, Elena Gutierrez, Helen Russell, and Allison Avalar.
Well, thank you for having us here today, guys. To the superintendent, to the principal, Mr. Fran, can I give you those to organize? Sure. Also wanted to thank the invited guests and, of course, the AC students and the winners today. My name is Craig McAndrew, and along with my colleagues Pam McGorry and Zach Lowe, the three of us comprise pretty much the primary judges of this competition. Also wanted to thank Comcast, so Kevin Broadhurst, who will get up here in just a minute, as well as Charlie Schonthaler, both from Comcast, so thank you for coming. We've been doing this competition for 18 years now, C-SPAN has, and we do it through the support of our cable affiliates like Comcast. So over the past 18 years, we've awarded $1.2 million to students, grades 6 through 12, and really what we're doing, as you saw with the examples here, is asking them to create a visual essay that they're thinking critically about an issue that's important to them and to the nation. So a 6-minute video. Each year we award 150 films. Each year we receive thousands of entries. So in the past 2 years, we've received more than 6,000 entries from students and that have participated in the competition. And this year, Helen, Allison, Elena, Mia, and Lucy, you guys have won prizes in the competition out of more than 6,000 participating students. So 5 students out of those 6,000 is quite the achievement. So a remarkable achievement, again, and I think that's a testament to both Mr. Fran's teaching and support, as well as obviously the hard work, which I can only imagine was months' worth of hard work for you guys. It's really one of the best things that we do at C-SPAN, StudentCam is, and I speak for not only our department, but certainly our executives, our chairman and founder, Brian Lamb, as well as our 2 co-presidents, Rob Kennedy and Susan Swain. They have their full support of this competition. We're going to continue doing this, so I know you guys are underclassmen, so we'd love to see you guys enter and participate again next year. So over these past 18 years, we've seen countless budding filmmakers, we've seen journalists, we've seen even politicians, and we're really excited to see what's next for you guys. I want to thank Mr. Fran again for participating these past 10 years, and again, our sincere congratulations on your achievement. You guys have the certificates?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we've got Lucy. Coming up. Here we go. Thank you very much. So we have a certificate from C-SPAN, and we also have, I think, a congratulatory letter from Alexandria City Councilwoman Gaskins. Yep. We'll keep you guys up here as well. So hang on to those. We'll get a photo in just a minute. So there's the congratulatory letter. There you go. We'll get a group photo in a bit. Next we have, who do we have? We've got Mia. Congratulations. There you go. And the letter from Miss Gaskins. Next up we have...
Take your pick.
Okay, Helen. Yep. Congratulations. There you go. That's a certificate and letter.
I will find Helen's letter. Say Helen.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you. There you go. Next up, we have Mia. Sorry, we have Allison. Allison. Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
And last we have, is it Mia? Yep. Terrific. Congratulations. There you go. Terrific. So hang on, guys. We'll get you to stay up here for just a minute. At this time, I would like to invite up Kevin Broadhurst. He's the Vice President of, let me get this right, Vice President of Government and Regulatory Affairs. That's right. Kevin, thanks, mate. Thanks, man. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. And I'd just like to also congratulate the winners. The documentaries were so impressive and really just reminded me of just how always I'm so impressed with younger generations and just your willingness to advocate for issues that you believe in and really kind of take a stand. And sometimes those can be uncomfortable and force people to have kind of difficult conversations. But I'm always just so impressed with your ability, your generation's ability to kind of fight for what you believe in. And I think it's so neat, too, to be able to kind of show how powerful the media can be in influencing others. So it reaches larger audiences than just the people in your community. These things can be shared across the country now and really internationally. So the work that you're doing can be seen by so many people, and I just think it's so important. So we're obviously partners with C-SPAN, and we're super proud to support this documentary contest. And I know that you guys all have other stuff to do, so I won't be up here very long. But we do have prizes. So in addition to the awesome certificates that C-SPAN provided and the councilwoman, we also have prizes as well for you as well. So Charlie?
Yep, right over here. After the ceremony, feel free, we've got a gift bag for each of you. It's everything from mugs and chargers to bottle tops and socks and blankets. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone.
All right. So at this time, we'd like to get some photos. Did we have additional guests that you wanted to introduce? That's it? Okay, so again, thank you all for coming today. We're going to get some photos in just a minute. If any family members would like to get photos as well, we'll get you guys up here in just a second as well. But
yes, and additionally, there are some refreshments and snacks in the next room. So
thank you again for having us.
We have
sorry.
remarks from Councilman Herrings.
My fault. We have one more person. I'm sorry. Yep. So we have a representative, a legislative assistant to Virginia State Delegate Herring, and Zachary Gillis is coming. Yep. Thank you. Sorry, Zachary.
Hi. Thank you all for having me. The delegate sends her apologies that she couldn't make it. She did have a prior commitment, unfortunately, but she just wants, and our office wants to congratulate the students on their hard work, making these videos, tackling these very tough issues. I was nowhere near your level of sophistication when I was in high school, so you guys are already way ahead of the curve, but congratulations again, and good luck, and we can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. We'll get the photos of the students first.